Hello and welcome to the Pagebuilder Essentials. Previously in the Essential path, we've created a wireframe and a data model for our application. We know how to manage data in our back office, and the cool thing is, we can also do this via the front end. And to do this, we're diving back into the Pagebuilder. Let's quickly go over what the Pagebuilder was. The Pagebuilder is a drag and drop interface, saved, unchanged, reusable, no HTML knowledge required, responsive, WYSIWYG Pagebuilder. This means that you can drag and drop components on the page and it's saved unchanged. So the moment you drop something on your page, it is saved. You don't need to know any HTML to get started, and it's responsive. So that means that you can make it look cool on phone while also making it look really neat on your laptop view. And to do this, we can use a lot of components and component groups. And the component groups we can use to make our pages functional and ready to use for our application users are the layout, navigation, content, button, data, form, list, cards, and logic components. And each category's name describes what the role and function of it is in a page. So for example, a form component contains all components that you can use in a form, while logic components determine how and why other components will be shown or utilized. All these components have component settings, and there are many component settings. Here are the more regular settings. So we can change style. These manage how a component will look or show on your page. We have event settings. These are used to configure a task that a component can or has to do. We have data settings to show and manage data via a component. And there are many different kinds per component. And if there are custom components, there can be custom settings as well. So make sure that when you're using a component, make sure to check out the component settings, because this can change a lot for you and your application. With these components and settings, we can create more than just a wireframe. We can make them functional by combining this all together. So what are the Pagebuilder functionalities? These are showing data, managing data, and Pagebuilder interactions. And one of these items is the data component. The data components are components connected to one of your application's models. It's a component that loops through your component's data and shows it in the component. These are dynamic components because you can set them up to show all different kind of things. And to get this to work in your front end, don't forget that you have to set your model's permissions to public to show data without a login functionality. So make sure that you have a login functionality or set the public check on your data model's permission check. Each of these data components have their specific data options. These are some of the options. You have the model select, used to define from what model you want to grab your data. You have the filter option to use to arrange or show data based on a filter you create. For example, we can use a filter option to filter our data components on the page's ID. This can create a detail page. We can also set an order by. This allows us to set the order of a data table. And the authentication profile option. This allows you to set restrictions on your data. So when you set an authentication profile, you need to be logged in with this profile to view your data. Managing data in your front end. You'd likely want to manage your data via your application's front end as well. And to do this, we have the create, update, and delete functionalities. This is done with forms and buttons. The delete buttons can be placed in your data table and work automatically after configuring. You can manage data via a create and update form. Simply drag them onto your page, configure them, and you can get started. You can also create a form from scratch using a form and input components and building the form action yourself. This can be used for more advanced checks, for example. The last Pagebuilder functionality we're discussing is component interactions. Component interactions are custom reactions to triggers on your page. You can use them to create an advanced user experience and make your application look and feel more dynamic. And a tip, when you're configuring a component interaction, give the components that you want to target a different name so that you can find them easier when you want to select something. So to set an interaction, it works as follows. Step 1, initiate an interaction with the trigger. Step 2, set a function that decides what kind of task happens. Step 3, the target component is used for this task. So an example would be, when I click this button, I want to hide or show something. And then the hide and show task will now target a text field. Now my button has an interaction with another component that hides or shows a task field. And the last two terms I want to tell you about are the get and post. Pagebuilder endpoints are always get. Get endpoints are mainly used to display a page and hold form data. It gets data from our server and it shows it to you. Form data after submitting is given to a post endpoint and processes data via a page action. Post endpoints are thus used to process data. So, a quick recap of this theory session. Data components allow you to dynamically show and work with data. Form components allow you to manage this data via your front end. And you can use interactions for a more advanced user experience flow. If you want to know how to apply this in your application, follow me to the Pagebuilder functionalities demo.